I bought way too many headphones. Damn it. Well, hello. In today's video, I'm going to take you on an epic journey of my purchasing of 8 Bluetooth headphones, which is too many, and why I chose the Sony XM5 in silver. Before we get started, I just want to say I am not an audiophile. And frankly, I don't know how the you are an audiophile, because apparently no one is. Also in this review, I'm not going to get in depth on ANC performance, on sound performance. I'm not going to show you any curves. There's no science in here.
Because I only believe in science.
It's literally just why I selected the XM5s over everything else. There's plenty other YouTubers out there that do a far better job going in depth reviewing these things. So just want to get that out there. And good job, you guys. Now, before we delve in, I need to tell you what's most important to me with noise canceling Bluetooth headphones. Obviously, number one, first and foremost, was comfort. 2, ANC quality. The reason why I need ANC headphones, not just for travel, is I get distracted real easy. Squirrel, squirrel, squirrel. And especially with creative tasks, I need to be able to pop these on and isolate myself from everything. Number 3 is call quality. I don't plan on doing a ton of calls with my headphones. However, if I have them on and someone calls me, I'm not gonna jostle around a bunch of shit to take the call. And lastly, and probably the most obvious, is sound quality. Do they sound cool? Or do they sound like First purchase I made was the Sennheiser Momentum 4. These headphones kick ass. They're under 300 bucks. The ANC is damn near top notch. The sound is great out of the box, and I really like the touch controls. Also, the battery life is like 60 hours. So why am I not keeping them? It's because they're uncomfortable for me, and it sucks. The clamping force on my head is just a little bit too much. I tried them for 3 days. I wanted these to be it, honestly. No matter what I did, after about an hour and a half, 2 hours, it would clamp down on my jaw here, and it just didn't work. And it's a bummer, because I love the app, I love the sound, I love the battery life. I also really like the touch controls, and a few things that stuck out to me. A, when you adjust your volume, you swipe up and down, like other headphones I'm gonna show you. What's cool about the Sennheisers that no other headphone does is, if you do a small swipe up or down, it adjusts the volume in a increment that's similar to what you're doing. And if you do a big swipe up and down, it'll adjust the volume according to how big your swipe is. So you can crank the volume quickly and turn it down quickly, or edge it up or down however much you like. I really like that. I also like the app a lot. They have this like select your own sound, go down your sound journey, man. It does a good job. I did it, and the way it works is they pretty much give you sound samples, and they give you like 5 different options, and you select which one you like out of the 5, and you do that maybe 3 or 4 rounds. And then at the end, you get to fine tweak that sound profile by dragging this ball around a grid. At the end, I was really pleased with the sound profile that it selected for me. I would say this, if you can get the Momentum 4s and they're comfortable for you, I would definitely keep those and stop, because again, they're under 300 bucks, and the ANC is almost as good as the top 2 in this lineup, and the sound is great, and I can't keep them, and I had to buy something else. That something else is the Apple AirPod Pro Max. Oh, hey, Casey, you idiot. It's AirPod Max, not AirPod Pro Max. They're fucking expensive. I like these a lot. I love the way they look. I love the way they're built. I love the materials they chose. It's just, they're a cool set of headphones, and they sound so good. Now, this might not be important to you, but transparency mode to me was a very important factor. And the transparency mode on these, like I'm sure you've heard before, really is top notch. Like it blows pretty much every other headphone I'm gonna show you out of the water except for one. It is like you're not wearing headphones at all. The ANC is killer, it's awesome. Also, I like the controls a lot. It's not touch controls, which I think after this whole journey, I realized I really prefer for the most part. But on the APMs, as it were, it's a little digital crown, and it makes adjusting volume, it's just nice. It's easy to do small little increments to adjust. I mean, overall, like I said, they're just kick-ass. I just didn't want to spend that much money in headphones, but I was totally cool doing that because I'm gonna use these every single day. Connectivity also, obviously, in the Apple ecosystem is awesome. Like they design these things so you want them. You know, like you're using your laptop, someone calls you, You don't have to do shit. You just answer the phone. You walk to your next room, use your other laptop or iPad. It's just so simple to switch devices. I get why they're hyped up so much, and I get why people love them. The sound is awesome. Like they really do sound good. Comparing them to the Momentum 4s, they're different. You're gonna get bass. You're gonna get a pretty wide sound stage. You're gonna get really good clarity. It's not leagues better or worse. They're just different in their own ways, but they're both solid. They'll both rock your head. All in all, they kick ass. I wanted these to work too. This is my second purchase, and I'm like, oh, dude, do I have to buy more of these? And I did have to buy more headphones. And the reason why, similar to the Momentum 4s, the clamping force for me was a lot. I mean, I guess I have a gigantic head. At first they feel comfortable, but again, after about an hour and a half, it wears me out. You know, it's usually around my jaw area down here or like the front of my ears. Going back to why I can't actually keep these is just comfort. I tried aftermarket ear pads. There's a few different options on Amazon. I'll link down in the description which one I got. It didn't change the comfort pretty much at all, and it made the ANC a lot worse, and it made the sound terrible. Sound like it was in a tunnel. So just FYI, if you think you can get these and just change out for softer pads, I couldn't find that solution. So if you can, bravo. So on to the next. The Bauer & Wilkins PX7 S2. These are really nice. They're comfortable. The clamping force isn't much less than the previous two, but the thickness of the padding is a lot more. So I think because of that, I was able to wear them for 2.5 hours, 3 hours without a problem. The sound out of these is also excellent. It's crystal clear. I would say it's more of a flat, neutral sound profile, which is good. I mean, especially if you're listening to like things like jazz, or I listen to a lot of sci-fi movie soundtracks because I'm a nerd, as you can see. They just sound awesome. The bass will never rumble your head like the AirPod Max or the Momentum 4. It's good, it's never gonna get that physical in your head. Let's get physical. ANC is also great. I mean, the ANC performance on the Bauer & Wilkins is, I'd say, again, it's not on par with the AirPod Max, but it's not far off either. It's on par with the Momentum 4 for sure. These are the two things that really bum me out with them and why I had to move on. Transparency mode sucks. It's hard to make out sounds. Even when someone's talking to you, they're not very clear. Couldn't even tell you how they are on phone calls because I never even bothered to use them, because it was that in combination with the second problem I had. Immediately when I bought these, just like all the other headphones I'm gonna show you, I get the app, I'll connect them. Every single one of them, I had to update the firmware. I couldn't get these to connect to the app. I uninstalled and reinstalled the app on my phone 5 or 6 times, nothing. So I went to bed, next day I woke up, I'm like, you know what, I'll try it again. Finally they connected, updated the firmware. Since then, I didn't really have any software issues or really even any connectivity issues with them, but that was enough to kind of freak me out. Really, that in combination with the transparency mode and the lack of bass, the amount of bass that I like, is why I'm moving on to the next. The Sennheiser Momentum 3. Now I know what you're saying. Why would you go back in time? Well, a couple reasons. One, these look fucking cool. I think these are dope. This retro style they have is just badass. I also love the fact that the ear cups and the headband are wrapped in real leather, which means, and they are, more comfortable than the Momentum 4s. The ear cups are also deeper. In the Momentum 4s, my ears would touch a little bit on the driver. It wasn't a huge deal, but just letting you know if that's something that bothers you a lot. I have, I think, normal size ears. Maybe I don't. Guys, these don't touch at all. These were more comfortable. They also sound great. Between the two, I'd say the Momentum 4 probably sounds a little bit better. Now here's where they fall apart. The ANC performance is worlds behind all the headphones I'm gonna show you today. When you turn the ANC on, it's almost hard to tell it's on. Now I haven't traveled with them, I haven't been on a plane with them. Maybe they're really good in tune just to do like low bass frequencies or something like that. But regardless, if you're trying to get a set of headphones that can really isolate your environment and kind of stick you in your own world, which is definitely what I need, these are not the ones for you. Also, transparency mode is abysmal. If you're just looking for good Bluetooth headphones, I'd say they're good, but if you just need good Bluetooth headphones without ANC, they're probably overpriced. However, if you're in love with the look, I totally get it, and more power to you. But for me, it was on to the next. Next up were two very obvious options that I don't know why I didn't buy in the first place, but it's the XM4 and the XM5 by Sony. Starting with the XM4, after trying both Momentums, the Bauer & Wilkins, and the AirPod Max, the first time I put the XM4 on, I was so relieved because they felt so good. Not kidding, the comfort level out of these are leagues above the other headphones for me. Sound out of the box for Both the XM4 and XM5 were very underwhelming. Good news is the Sony app is really fucking cool and they have a good EQ. And there seems to be a huge community, a huge XM community. So I was able to find really good EQs that actually worked kind of on both. I'll post one in the description below that I'm using right now. But after doing that, they sound awesome. These ultimately became the two headphones I was juggling back and forth with on which one I was gonna keep. What led me to drop the XM4s was the ANC. So the ANC works really well at canceling out noise. The problem that I was experiencing, and it might not be for everyone, but for me personally, is when I have the ANC on, you hear a little psh, like white noise. Not the end of the world, but what was bothersome for me was I got this really weird cabin pressure sensation. Like I kept wanting to pop my ears and it was very frustrating. Something else that was very underwhelming on the XM4 is the transparency mode. It works, it just doesn't sound good. If you're in a situation where you plan on being in transparency mode for like a 30 minutes straight, or like let's say you work in an office, you need to be able to be an earshot away from someone, the sound coming through them, the source that you're giving it will sound good, but your environment will sound bad. And it's kind of weird. Lastly, the call quality was pretty shitty. The few calls that I made on them, people kept asking me to repeat myself because they said I sounded muffled, they could barely understand me, and they said they could hear everything around me. So if you're in the kitchen getting a drink or taking a shit, they're gonna hear all that. So just FYI, if you do on the XM4, they hear it all. But I would say this is probably the most comfortable pair out of the entire lineup that I tried. Next up, the XM5s in black. The first thing I noticed when I put on the XM5s is how light they are. I didn't realize how much weight really does affect the comfort of headphones. I know, duh. But seriously, until I tried a really light pair of headphones, I was like, oh, now I get it. The second thing that was awesome was the ANC. The ANC on the XM5, I would say is probably on par with the AirPods Max, which is to say they kick ass. So at the time of me shooting this video, which is September 8th, 12th, I don't even know, 2023, you'll see a lot of reviews on Reddit, on YouTube about the noise cancellation sucking on the XM5. That's because you can't adjust the level of ANC on the XM5 like you can on the XM4 and other headphones. The way it works is there's some kind of AI magic angel robot inside your headphones that will automatically adjust to your environment. It seems the issue was in earlier firmware versions where people could actually hear the adjustments happen, which that would drive me nuts, and there's no way I'd keep that. So I completely understand the comments. In my experience, especially after getting them and updating the firmware right away, they're great. I've had zero issues with the noise cancellation and I've never heard it adjust at all. I also get zero cabin pressure feeling when the ANC is on. The Sonys really do a good job transporting you in your own little private world, which is nice. Second thing, sound quality. I mean, I think they sound pretty similar to the XM4s, which is good. They almost sound a little more refined. You know, you hear the term instrument separation, but really you can hear a little bit more nuance in the music you're listening to. Something else that I was like, thank God, the transparency mode. It's awesome. It's not AirPods Max level, which literally is, as far as I'm aware, the king of transparency, but it's not far off. A couple things that bother me about the XM in general though. So I like the touch controls. I think they work well. I'm a little bummed you have to double tap to pause. On the Momentum 4s, you just tap once. It's a small thing, but it's nice. Also, I guess the biggest gripe I have, which isn't, I'm kind of nitpicking at this point, is the volume adjustment on the touch controls. Like the Momentum 4s and a few other, touch pad controlled headphones, you swipe up and down to turn your volume up and down. But with the Sonys, both of them, it's all the same increment, no matter how big or small you swipe. So if you wanna turn the volume up, let's say 5 or 6 clicks, it's like boom, 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 6 times. Pro tip, you can also swipe up and hold to adjust the volume until you let go, and vice versa. That works too. In the end, it's not that big of a deal. I'm just letting you know in case you're someone who's like, I hate it. There's one downside of the XM5 that I've found for me personally, and I've learned to live with it, but I just want you to be aware because it has happened to me and others have also reported the same thing. The headband on the XM5 is pretty thin right here. The cushioning is nice, but because it's such a thin surface area touching the top of your head, I do develop a hot spot on my head after about, it changes. Sometimes it's an hour, sometimes it's 2 hours, sometimes it's 3 hours. But at some point, almost guaranteed, I get a hot spot. Funny enough, I feel like, I don't know if I'm getting used to it or if they're breaking in, but I feel it less. but it happens. The good news is all I have to do to fix that is move it back an inch or move it forward an inch and it's fine. But just be aware, I didn't think it was a real thing. It is a real thing. Why didn't I just stop there? Well, it's because at this point, after going through a couple heartbreaks with the Momentums and the AirPods Maxes with comfort, I was hell-bent on finding the most comfortable headphones, which led me to my next two purchases, the NC700 and the QC45 by Bose. So the NC700s, they were underwhelming. The first thing I noticed when I put them on is they're not that comfortable. The clamping force is pretty strong, and I was bummed because that's usually Bose's shit. Sounds okay. I mean, it's good, but the bass is the weakest out of the entire lineup that I've showed you. ANC's good. I don't even know if they had transparency mode. Truthfully, I didn't test them that long because they weren't comfortable for me, and that was the only reason why I got them. If they weren't as comfortable as the Sonys, I was going with either of the Sonys. Something else that kind of bothered me was the touch controls on the NC700. It's only on the front half of the ear cup, not the entire ear cup, which was almost counterintuitive in my eyes because you actually have to put your hand up there and then find the front half and then operate from there. And it's kind of a small surface area. I mean, I got huge hands, so maybe it's a me problem. To be fair, these are I think 4 or 5 years old, so I'm not trying to shit on Bose at all because I know a lot of people have these and love these and more power to you. It's just with what I've already purchased and what I've already experienced, they weren't up to snuff with previous options that I've already showed you. And I didn't even open the QC45s. And the reason why is because I suspect that these are probably more comfortable than either of the Sonys. The last thing I needed in my OCD brain was a more comfortable option that didn't sound as good, that didn't have as good ANC, and didn't have as good call quality. So I said, you know what? I'm just gonna leave it in the box. And sorry again, Amazon, but I'm a Prime member, so thank you for letting me do all this. Now, this leads me to my final pair and the ones I will keep, the XM5 in silver. Now, why'd I pick silver? It's not because I think they look the coolest, although I do like the way they look. I think honestly, I'd probably prefer the black. It's because the texture on the black, it shows every fingerprint. It looks like I've been eating French fries my entire life, all day, every day. Every time you pick it up, it smudges. Any oil at all, literally, is gonna show. Like, see that ear cup right there? I wonder if I can show you. Okay, right there. Look at that, ready? Before, after. See how gross that is? I know, sorry guys, that's a gross example. Some of you might not give a shit, and yes, you can wipe them down and clean them off. As you can tell, I'm way too OCD to deal with that because I will have to wipe them off every single time. And I thought to myself, why would I get something that I have to constantly clean over and over and over again that I'm touching with my hands every single time I use them? So that's why I got the silver. And ladies and gentlemen, that concludes my epic purchasing journey of noise canceling Bluetooth headphones. In the end, honestly, with any of these, I don't think you can go wrong. Although, if I'm being frank, I'd avoid the NC700s just because you can get better bang for buck headphones that I think deliver better comfort, sound, noise canceling, battery, pretty much everything for less. And like I said at the beginning, if the Momentum 4s were comfortable for me, that's the one I would keep. That would have been my first purchase and my only purchase because they really are badass and they did a good job. Well, boys and girls, I hope, honestly, this was helpful for at least one person out there because I spent weeks and too much money that I'm floating buying all of these. And I figured, you know, I went through this whole thing. Maybe my experience can save you some time and some money. That's all I got for now. Thanks for sticking around. And did you subscribe? You're coming to my birthday party.